Thank you, Richard. It seems like a lot to live up to, but we'll see how we go. So, firstly, thank you for the opportunity to speak today, Rachel and Anthony and everyone in the berries industry. I spent a couple of years in the meat industry and it's good to be back in horticulture doing some work. So, before I start, and thank you, Lisa, for sharing a perspective from FWO. It would be remiss of me to start a conversation from a labour hire provider without making a distinction between dodgy operators and labour hire providers. So a lot of the people that Lisa was speaking to do not even exist formally in the economy, and so calling them labour hire providers bunches everyone in together, and we are consciously moving to a workforce solutions company and expanding our services because arguably labour hire is, for all the reasons that Lisa outlined, those companies that don't do it properly leave us all in a worse place, growers and everyone in the industry. Firstly though, I hope, Rachel, that I get the award tonight for the snappiest title because I just threw a heap of words together that we all use and throw around. And so what I wanted to do was share a few perspectives, and what Rachel asked me to do was draw on broader experience and bring it back to berries. So I will work out the thingamajig. So I just thought we work with probably about half a dozen companies here at Berries Australia and of course across Australian agribusiness. And these are some of the phrases that are thrown around and you'll recognise them. These are some of the comments that we've got over the last 18 months to 2 years. And they're representative of the challenges that everyone faces, but also the opportunities and how difficult it is to grow berries as probably the product with the single highest labour input in Australian horticulture. And so it is a particular challenge for berries, but it presents an opportunity where it can be done well. I thought I'd throw this up because I'm not a berry specialist. I've done lots of different things, and no, I'm not 1,000 years old. I haven't done 10 years in each of those roles, but just thought I'd share a bit of background, where my comments are coming from, and experience. And as I say often when I'm working with government and others, I look forward to the panel session for questions, comments and outrage from everyone here. Feel free to challenge anything I say and work through it. That's why we're here. I thought I'd start here. The Australian berry industry is one of the highest users of the palm scheme, Pacific workers from across the Pacific and Timor. And you can see there that there's been a steady decline in the short-term palm workers. And at the same time, long-term has increased, but the short-term has decreased. There's a whole raft of challenges and reasons for that. A lot of it is around cost. A lot of it is around the difficulty in managing the program, particularly in the short-term stream. But the palm workers still play a pivotal role in berries and will continue to play a pivotal role for the future. We all know that there's more backpackers here, and that line I went and found it in the same resource that Lisa mentioned, and that includes first, second and third year visas for both visa types. And so you can see the steady increase in backpackers. And when government says, oh, why is palm decreasing and what's happening and where are the workers going, it is a clear change, it is a clear trend. And it is interesting that as palm is going down, backpackers are going up. So it's changing. Everything changes, as we know, and the workforce composition is changing. This, former colleagues in the room, so this is a blatant steal, but wanted to introduce a concept you all know, you all do it, around shoulders and the managing the workforce. And I think for berry industry, from our experience, it's one of the biggest challenges because it is so labour intensive, because there is so much variability in the crop. It presents some of the most significant challenges on managing the start and using the different cohorts of workers to start your season without incurring a significant workforce cost and move through and then have access to the right amount of workers to pick the fruit when it's ready, and at the tail end of the season to not leave fruit behind but also not carry 100 extra people that you don't need. And so Berries for palm presents an incredible challenge because it's not only wages, it's accommodation and all those things, which again, because of the volume and the numbers, is challenging. So this is probably some broader perspective, and this is certainly from our business, but also more broadly. So I spent a couple of years at Tees, meat processing, worked with other sectors. It's moving forward, whether we get a new federal government or we don't, the reality is that there's going to be continuous change. We need access to people. All the programs will change, and so we know that's going to happen. So what can we do about it? We can be very intentional around the cohorts. People who went all the way into palm are easing off because you don't have the flexibility. People who haven't accessed palm, if they can see and realise the productivity benefits of palm, they will certainly go in. So backpackers, as we know, flexible casual labour, very hard to find productive backpackers for a long period of time, even where you can get them to stay. The palm workforce, from our experience, we have a couple of clients where we're losing money, 18 months, pretty consistently losing money, and that is because the costs associated with accommodation and transport cruel any margin. And so you'll know in your own businesses that welfare cost, flight cost, accommodation and transport cost, if you can't control them, they will cripple your profitability. So with one client, we won't name, and not in horticulture, we lost $300,000 in 1 year on accommodation. So the challenge with palm is real, but where you can unlock the productivity, in the long-term stream, you get significant increases after about 12 months. In the short-term stream, people in this room and in berries will realise a 40% increase in productivity through palm workers, but that has to be through managing palm workers, training them, supporting them, and accommodation, transport, welfare, and flights. Australians, for my sins, I have long conversations with government at different times, and everyone tries all the time to employ more Australians. The reality is Australians haven't worked in horticulture. I grew up in North Queensland, and in '99 was some of the last people still moving around out of the Burdekin, Northern Territory, Burdekin, down here to Victoria and Tasmania, and that finished as I was leaving North Queensland. So Australians, where we find the opportunity is in supervision roles, managers roles, technical roles, and again, this is not for berries, this is across Australian agriculture, and you might say, we know all this, but sometimes it's good to reflect on the fact that the challenges that you face, yes, there are some that are unique, but often some of the challenges we face every day are faced by everyone in Australian agriculture in different ways. It's always hard to retain Australians with rapidly increasing wages in other sectors, and the way that other sectors are doing it is training up young Australians into manager positions, providing them opportunity, and acknowledging and being comfortable with the fact that not everyone is going to stay, and that's okay. But would you rather have no managers and young professionals coming through, or would you rather train people up, work with them for some time, some will stay and some will leave, and some may even come back with broader experience? And the last area is around skilled visa holders. Skilled visa holders play a critical role, particularly in the berry sector. We're recruiting, we have a separate business which I'll touch on toward the end, but some of the skill sets in your sector have to be found with a global search. And so we have to continue to do global searches, but we also need to find ways to train up Australians in those skill sets so that each business has access to agronomic skills, workforce planning skills, all the things that make your business profitable and successful. So, and I started a bit late, Richard, so if I go on and on, you'll have to pick me up about halfway through. This is, again, really simple, but often we don't explain the role. We know the role, but we don't sit down and write it out. We aren't clear on what we expect people to do. We aren't clear on where the value of each role is. Even in our own business, we've got people probably spending 30% of their time on things that don't make any money or don't add any value. And so how do you start at the start in your business and be really clear around the role that you want people to do, the function that you want them to perform? Can you strip out things that they're doing and employ someone else to do that task for 10 people, and make sure that your pickers are highly productive, or your packers. Know your numbers inside out. Recruit the right people. So we employ about 2,000 people at any one time. Most of our recruiters are from Taiwan, Malaysia, China, and have a broad range of backgrounds. It's important to recruit the right people for the right role. Physically, mentally, people have to be prepared, and they have to move into the role knowing what they're going to do. Train your people. A lot of times we work with clients and the workers will turn up on the first day and they get about 15 minutes of introduction on how to do the role and the client's expectations. That doesn't set anyone up for success. In terms of the PALM scheme, what we're looking to do and have started, in the meat sector we have about 3 training programs operating overseas, very short term, but we just show people how to hold a knife in the meat sector. In the hort sector we're looking at picking training, and these are really basic conversations around knowing what your job is, knowing how to do it, and knowing the expectations. If they turn up on farm for the first morning and then by midday they're not picking well, and then by 3 days they're not picking well, it's very hard, and you know this better than anyone, it's very hard to get someone who's just had 2 really bad days, 3 really bad days to improve their productivity. Much easier to have them start well and then improve and get their productivity up and get their competency up, so you're not having to chase them. Supervise your people, really key. Feedback. Feedback is really critical on expectations. Some people think they're doing really well and then they don't get any feedback and then they let go. Very hard to maintain a profitable business when the churn in the workforce is really high. And Lisa will love this one. Pay people properly and pay people well. Again, the dodgiest operators in our sector, they're usually defined by not paying people or paying them well. And if we focus on productivity and making sure we've got the right people, train them well, get their productivity up, you can afford to pay them well, and you'll actually have fewer people. Have fewer people rather than lots of people. And support returning workers, again, around productivity. What I'm also going to do is today launch, from our perspective, a new initiative that we're doing, and this is ALA Workforce Solutions. And I'll share it obviously because we want to tell you all about it and hope people get excited about it. But the reason I'll also share it is some of the things that we're doing you can use in your own business in terms of the approach to workforce and integrating the approach. So this brings together 3 of our businesses, and we're very excited about doing it because it brings together our expertise across agriculture. It brings together our expertise across executive search, permanent recruitment, board appointments, all the way through to entry-level roles. And it's about providing each business in Australian agriculture the opportunity to work with us for all workforce needs and not just on labour hire. There's a whole range of ways to do that. So Agri Labour Australia was started 15 years ago. Started in Goondiwindi in the grain sector. Now we work across horticulture, meat processing, sugar, basically across the Australian agribusiness sector. And going to the point that Lisa picked up, compliance is incredibly important, and what we're finding is that we're probably priced at the top end of labour hire providers, workforce solutions companies in Australia. But what we're committed to is compliance, getting the right people, supporting your productivity, and that's paying off for us. And I think you'll see more enforcement activity from FWO, as Lisa outlined, but Home Affairs and others, because some of the challenges that our sector faces can't continue in the way that they have, and more people are reporting and more issues are coming to light. So this kind of gives you a sense of the scale of our business and what we do. The exciting thing for us is there's history, there's capability and capacity within the business, there's expertise, and there's linkages overseas across our business and the things that we do. And there's an opportunity to expand that across sectors, across clients, big and small, and then I'll talk now about how we can do that. So labour hire is one part of what a workforce company does or could do. The opportunity as companies are moving to direct hire palm workers, are looking to do more internal recruitment, are looking to take more control of their workforce, is how do you use an external provider to support you doing that? It's not just about us providing you workers and charging a margin forever and you're saying, why on earth are we paying a margin forever? It's about structuring your workforce to support your business to be as effective and as profitable and as productive as possible, and unlocking some of those opportunities for you. So if you just work through those, a lot of those you'll know. So recruitment process outsourcing, effectively what we're talking to some companies about is establishing a recruitment desk. It obviously works at scale. It's a large grains company that we're talking to at the moment. They need a couple of thousand people for 12 weeks. And so what we can do is to support that, use the recruiters that we have to help them screen, to help them get those people established, to help induct those people. But they don't necessarily all have to be employed by us. They can be employed by the company and we can work out an arrangement. And to some of the points that Lisa was making around ownership, around knowing your business, breaking the model open means that you have more control, more insight, more visibility, and there's more accountability for your business and anyone that works with you. And then in terms of meeting consumer expectations, retailer expectations, and our good friends at SEDEX and other places, it's much easier to meet those requirements because you have visibility, control, and accountability within your supply chain. So some of the broader opportunities are around actual full workforce planning. So understanding what your business is, sitting down with you, supporting it. It doesn't have to be with us, can be with anyone. But how can you structure your business differently perhaps than you have? And where can you draw people from to get what you need done, but manage your risk and manage your productivity? So these are the brands, and yes, Health Plus People is probably an outlier, but again, it goes to the breadth of what we're doing, and we're also finalising. We have a skilled business that we have established, and so we're looking to scale that as well. So all the things that I've outlined will be under the Workforce Solutions banner. So I'll leave my remarks there and look forward to the questions, and please throw a few curly ones. Thanks again for the opportunity. Happy to talk anytime, and as Richard said, always happy to have a conversation, even if you don't want to work with us or you just want to have a conversation about workforce. Always feel free to give us a call and chat through the issues. So thank you very much for your time.